Episode 213 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast with Lauren Webb of Bullish Endurance, brought to you by Something About Nothing. Today's episode is brought to you in part by the Something About Nothing podcast. Think the Seinfeld show meets your favorite morning show. It's a few regular folks from outside Seattle, Washington, talking around the table about sports, the news of the day, and the absurdity of life. I'm excited they're up to around 50 episodes now and proud to have worked with Scott on some of the tech aspects of the show. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Check it out today. Just search Something About Nothing. You'll be blowing beer out your nose in about 5 minutes. I'm psyched to announce the recent launch of my new website, podcastersworkshop.com. Podcasting has been a fun and rewarding adventure for me, and I believe is a key component to any successful contemporary marketing strategy. If you own an outdoor retail shop, a hot startup outdoor brand, an adventure travel outfitting service, or have an exciting passion project, you might feel like not enough of the right people are offering you their attention and trust, even though you have a reputation of providing some of the best gear money can buy or delivering once-in-a-lifetime experiences. Your efforts are no longer delivering the results you once enjoyed, and we all know the business and online landscape has changed. I'm excited to offer one-on-one coaching, VIP days here in the Eastern Sierra, or a complete done-for-you program, all aimed at helping you level up your game through podcasting. My goal is for you to create and publish your podcast to help your business generate more revenue and begin building stronger relationships with current and new customers. Visit podcastersworkshop.com to get all the details and begin your podcasting journey today. Before you know it, you'll be publishing your 200th episode too. So after 12 years in the industry as a jack of all trades at retail, these days she develops creative solutions for brands that are being overlooked or are last out of the bag. She is Lauren Webb with Bullish Endurance. Welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast, Lauren.
So appreciative for having me on. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you. It's going to be a fun conversation. Now, you guys are out in Georgia, is that right? Do I have that right?
Yeah, we moved smack dab in the middle of Georgia almost 6 months ago from San Diego.
Oh, so this is relatively new.
I actually grew up in the South.
Okay.
My husband, third generation San Diegan, not so much. But yeah, it was interesting. The first couple of weeks after we moved, it was kind of flashbacks to me being 7 years old again. So
That's cool. That's cool. So how'd you get introduced to the outdoors? How'd you get excited about outdoor stuff?
You know, just like most of your listeners, my parents' rule growing up was if nothing was broken, you weren't bleeding, and it wasn't dark, we were expected to be outside.
Nice.
So, yeah, growing up, spent a lot of time in the South, spent a lot of time in the Midwest as an early child, and we were just always playing sports and exploring.
Cool. What did you ride bikes and play kickball? What kind of stuff did you do?
Yeah, we, played the good old group kickball in the neighborhood. My parents were always big on lots of sports. So
cool.
My sister and I swam from a tadpole age on, and I played soccer growing up and then eventually played soccer in college. My sister rowed in college. So just always team sports, and being outside was a big part of our lives growing up.
Super fun. And you have a pretty broad educational background. What did you study at the Institute of Montana? That's in Switzerland, right? I probably didn't say that. Probably didn't say that.
No,
right,
yeah,
but...
you did.
Okay.
Institute Montana, Zuckerberg. So Montana is actually a high school. So it's a private boarding school. My dad's career, my dad was in pharmaceuticals, biotech. We moved around a lot for his job. And so when I was 14, he took a project out there. So we just my sister and I got the amazing opportunity because his company was connected with the school.
Oh, cool.
So we were able to go to boarding school in Switzerland. Super cliche, but it was just like I said, great opportunity. It was an international school. So
nice.
We were I think there was like 3 or 4 Americans there. Most of the students spoke 4 or 5 languages, still have great friends and contacts to this day. And it really was a pivotal turning point in my personal life.
I'll bet. And you're multilingual then?
Oh man, I've been stateside for a long time. Yeah, I mean, definitely learning German. It was going to the restaurants, being in high school, I was
I'm
trying
sure you
to
pick it
date.
up. Yeah, you have to pick it up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to date the locals, you got to learn German, right?
That's right. That's right.
A high school girl, come on now.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
But was able to learn a definitely conversational German, can still squeak it by if I need to.
It all comes back, I think, once you learn that kind of on the ground part of it, the language to get by during the day for school and whatnot. I think it comes back.
Yeah, and then just being forced into the situation, like
right.
going to the grocery store, going to the bank, just the ins and outs of actually living day to day in a country.
You have to
give
figure
you
it out.
So much. Yeah. You have to figure it out. Yeah.
And you have a certification in plant-based nutrition studies. What inspired that, and what is that? Tell our listeners a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I actually became vegetarian about 2 years ago. I'm always guinea pigging my own racing, my own training, and just trying to figure things out, right?
That's good. I'm going to use that. Consider that that's going to be a quote from here on out. I'm always guinea pigging. That's great.
Please do it.
So self-testing on yourself. So you're kind of like a Tim Ferriss person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I saw a big performance boost just with inflammation and recovery time. And so after cutting out meat, which personally worked for me, but people were commenting on you're training harder, et cetera, et cetera. So I, just being an athlete and my educational background, I've got a master's in science and sport. I noted, but I didn't really have the nutritional certifications or like the info to back it up, right?
Got you, right.
So a few people that I train with and race with that are also vegetarian and plant-based were really recommending this certification from Cornell. So it's a 6-week training certification, bit expensive, but I was actually able to earn a scholarship.
Oh, nice.
For the program. So was able to get that through Cornell. It was a 6-week program that I finished actually over the holidays, which was kind of nice because I had some downtime to study and do all that fun stuff. So that was, I ended up getting that certification earlier this year.
Very cool. That's good. Yeah. So you're healthy for it. That's great. You're healthier for it. That's interesting. I think a lot of us might have food allergies that we don't realize, and it forces you to guinea pig on yourself, like you said, to test it out, and then you try it out, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. So good on you. That's awesome.
Thanks.
And so about 6 months ago, you guys moved to Georgia and started Bullish Endurance with your husband, Greg. Tell us about that. What do you guys do?
Yeah, so we started our agency really to represent the little guys. We realized that the current sales model is broken. It really hasn't adapted, and small brands are always last out of the bag, if even mentioned at all. So your traditional sales reps are based on schedule and ROI, and that's why a lot of these brands just really never get a chance. So we don't have any big ticket items. We work on small brands on their marketing and sales solutions. So there's so many great companies that, you've been around for so long as well, that are in this industry that really don't have the bandwidth or the budget to be able to have an in-house sales team or a big marketing campaign budget. So we're just here to share their story.
That's cool. So you basically work with the in-house team to come up with campaigns and call to actions and so forth to execute at retail. Is that right? Does that sound about like?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha.
Retail events.
But that's huge for you guys.
Marketing. It just really depends. Every company is different, and where they see their customer is different, whether it's a consumer or a retailer. So we just really get to know the customer and how best to give them their best return on investment.
That's interesting because the episode that just dropped today as we're recording this was with Wes Allen. He just started an agency that does something similar. So I'm curious how you create and execute a solution for a last out of the bag brand. How does that get put together? Do you spend a lot of time at the brand or engaging with the brand? Who creates the content and the product? If there's POP, how does that all work?
So we just communicate, and we know what we do best, and they know what they do best, and so by collaborating and getting to know, like I said, where their best return on investment is, we build a solution for the customer that fits their needs. Maybe it's they need exposure in a certain area, like a lot of the West Coast brands that maybe you and I have, relationships with because we were based on the West Coast for so long.
Right.
Down in the Southeast, nobody's ever heard of them. And
exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
do you create POP? Do you create, sales contests? What kind of stuff do you create? Is it all different? Different per brand, different by retailer?
It's all different.
So it's almost custom, bespoke stuff.
Yeah. So either going to events for some lead generation at a trade show that they may be interested in, but don't have the support staff to be able to do that, or consumer events to build the brand and engage with either their direct to consumer website, or maybe it's a little bit more of a technical brand that's looking for some connection with some key retailers, because we have great retail and event partners nationwide. Right. So, I've built this huge Rolodex of retailers, and then, we've also done lots of trade shows. I've raced a lot. And so we have this Rolodex. So it just really depends on the company. Some companies prefer the traditional retail model. Some are happy working with distributors and the distribution model. So we just basically connect them with partners and exposure. So we just do it all.
That's cool. And so what are some of the results you've achieved for the retailer? Obviously increased sales, I would think. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, increased sales, but also we've been able to showcase great brands that make sense for our retailers. So we're just able to share their story. And I think that that's the biggest thing. So there's so many brands that maybe retailers have maybe seen just through Instagram or on social. So we're able to really just connect those partners.
And so what are some of the results you achieve for the brand? Obviously, they get broader exposure.
Right. So because we're able to do everything from marketing and sales to copy and brand exposure, we're a one-stop shop that's able to offer an effective and economical approach. But the real key here is that we're sharing stories. So there's so many brands that really just need their product introduced to people. Yeah. And we're there to be able to do that for them.
So, and a lot of these brands are probably, whenever people start a brand, it's very product focused, product driven, because usually it's a guy with an idea, right? And he's got cool product, but he doesn't have, and he can fund it and he can get some made and he can take it to market, or she can take it to market, but they don't always have, like you say, the resources to create teams, but they need all that out there. So you guys are the on the ground marketing sales. That's very cool. Is anybody else doing that in the industry? Or are you one of a kind, or one of a few?
The interesting thing is, so I got selected for a mentor-menteeship program through the International Triathlon Women's Association earlier this year. And Kay Martin, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. Kay Martin is the founder and CEO of Boco Headwear. And we have a monthly call, and she's my mentor for this program, and amazing businesswoman, and just really stoked to be able to partner and be paired with her for this program. And so,
hey, Kay, if you're listening, come on the show. It'd be great to have you on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, tell her story. That'd be awesome.
Oh, she's phenomenal. I mean, her rap sheet is incredible. Yeah. So I'm just super fortunate from a sales and marketing perspective to be paired with her. And we're on a monthly call, and so I was talking to her about this idea, and the next month she was like, I really don't know of anybody that's doing anything similar. So
yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got your salespeople, you've got your marketing people, you've got your social people, you've got your product people, but there's not really people that are able to do it all.
Well, and
So
a lot of reps, some reps sometimes, even with big brands, they're not getting what they need for a small retailer. So there's a little bit of it going on, but I don't know that anyone's marketing themselves as providing this solution. That's awesome. How have retailers received it? I bet they love it. Brands as well.
yeah, it's the biggest thing is that brands are just looking for a solution. So
right.
this is really resonated. Retailers want to hear about a new product or a new approach as long as it's cost effective and it has a customer for them. And since we're compensated by the solution package and not necessarily just going in with a bag with 15 lines and maybe get into the last few, the retailer isn't trying to constantly be sold. We're working on whatever way works best for them. And so a better relationship is being formed, and through the retailer and the brand and our agency. So just this collaboration is being formed.
That's very cool. And so what are your thoughts on trade shows? I would imagine, or let me ask this question. What's the ratio of trade shows to events that you participate in? Is it more events? It's got to be more events.
So as of right now,
now it's unique.
Right. We're still relatively new to the Southeast region. And so we had attended a trade show up in Asheville, an outdoor show up in Asheville. And then the pandemic started really rolling in. So,
so you haven't been through a full trade show cycle yet?
No, not
Right.
not in this region.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see going forward how trade shows and events are going to take place. But I think the biggest thing for our agency is really realizing and getting to know our customer's customer. So some people really, like I said, have more of a technical product and really have that strong retail partner and are looking for those retail partners. Some people have an amazing direct to consumer or events because it's more of a, like, we work with a great skincare brand and just passing out samples because they just really want to get product in people's hands. So it's really a myriad between consumer events and like trade shows, as well as just meeting customers and being in retail day in and day out. It's kind of a good collaboration of all three.
Yeah, and it's going to be all different once we get through this COVID-19 environment. Who knows what's going to happen? I think trade shows will change. So I don't know if you saw online, there's a new trade show being promoted. It's a virtual trade show. It's only being promoted to the marketing world right now, but that could be pretty interesting. Yeah. So you guys are still getting outside, huh? What you still ride a lot, run a lot? What do you got? What activities do you participate in?
It's really crazy to say this, but coming from Southern California to Middle Georgia, the Southeast is such a honeypot of recreation.
It really is.
It really is.
Yeah.
We're getting outside so much more than I ever did in SoCal.
Interesting.
So
more, huh? That's interesting.
Yeah, we've got amazing trails for running and hiking and riding, country roads. Being in Middle Georgia, we don't have a lot of traffic, and so we're in the dairy belt, so I get to ride my bike and see cows.
Nice.
There's an amazing amount of state-funded parks and recreational areas, so we can camp and go fishing. We're right in the middle of lake country as well. It's a really cool area.
Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. What's your activities of choice? You guys get on the bike pretty much every day?
Yeah, so Greg is definitely into hiking, fishing, being on the water. I'm really into cycling. Cycling is if I have to pick one thing for the day, it's going to be on the bike.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. And do you have any suggestions or advice for folks wanting to get into the outdoor adventure biz?
Yeah, keep your options open. Talk to everyone.
That's good.
I'm still amazed at people that really target and really want to work for either the brand that has their favorite gear or, just that Mount Everest. So your Patagonia, your Nike, which are amazing companies.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I think the biggest thing is you miss 100% of the chances that you don't take.
That's right.
And sometimes it's the interviews or the conversations that you're really not expecting to go anywhere that lead you down the most interesting paths.
Right. No, that's good advice. That's well said. You do miss, I forget who said that, but that's a great quote. You miss 100% of the chances you don't take, or the 100% of the shots you don't take. It might have been Wayne Gretzky.
Yep.
I forget.
It was Wayne.
Was it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool.
Yep.
So do you have a favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100?
Yeah, so mine is the Zoic Piper jersey. So the Piper jersey is a casual plaid button-up. I wear it just with jeans or on the bike, but it really means a lot to me because it's named after my dog.
Oh, cool.
So there was a big inter-office kind of bet when I hit this gigantic sales goal to be able to name a product after my dog, and so that it's a great piece.
Right on.
But it also has a lot of personal meaning for me as well. And then Greg's is actually the Moon Sports U-Light Pro. So it's a new headlamp from Moon Sports USA. So I've ran with it multiple times, but he uses it for everything. Like he was in the garage working on the cars with it. So it's just a super versatile product.
Yeah.
So that's his favorite.
Cool. We'll link to both of those in the show notes. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And if you could have a huge banner at the entrance to the Outdoor Retailer show or one of the big national shows, what would it say?
So adventure, connection, and reputation. So adventure is the stories of the brands that don't get told.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we share our story. It's how we really give exposure to our brands. Connection is pairing the product with the retailer or pairing the brand with the consumer and their story. And then reputation is obviously the quality of the product in production and then the work ethic that we're able to bring to the products that we represent.
Yeah, I like it. That's a good one. I hope to see that there someday.
Perfect.
As we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to say to our listeners or ask of our listeners?
Yeah, if you're on a budget or if you're tired of limitations, excuses, you're not getting what you're paying for, if you've been let down, just give us a shout. We're here to offer you some hope and possibly a solution.
Cool. Well, we'll link to all your contact info in the show notes. People can find you there. And if people want to follow up directly, they want to follow you on socials or follow up on email, how can they do that? What's the best way for you guys?
Yeah. So you can check out our website. Our website is just www.bullishendurance.com or via email bullishendurance@gmail.com.
Cool. That's simple. Yeah, we'll link to all that stuff and people can reach out to you. Well, it's been great talking to you, Lauren. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it, Rick.
All right. Have fun today.
Thanks.
All right. See ya. Thank you for listening. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, be sure and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast. Be sure and go to the outdoorbizpodcast.com where you find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Have a great week and be sure to get outside.